Back in the saddle once again for another edition of the Grunge Bible Podcast. This is episode number 174 coming to you. My name is Chris Salona, and I'm here with Ethan Shalloway. Both back in the States. I'm back from my little foreign tour. I hopefully sound quite a bit better this week than I did the past 2 weeks, but got the microphone. I'm back in the studio, ready to churn out some great content, because content is important.
Back in the studio, yes. Content is important. We're keeping everybody updated with old news, you know?
Exactly. breaking old news.
We're breaking old news. Yeah.
How are you, Ethan?
I'm doing well. Doing really well.
Nice.
I got to work the other day. There was a big storm and some trees came down.
Yeah.
And I went and worked with Elijah. And we were cutting down some trees, some down trees we were cutting up. But I must have cut through some poison oak.
Oh, did they get you?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck.
So I was wearing long sleeve, long pants.
Because you're no stranger to this thing. I mean, it's not your first rodeo.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember telling Elijah, because he's like, should we wear pants or long sleeves? And I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, we should.
You know, if you're grabbing stuff, you definitely want, like, there's pickers. We were dealing with a lot of brush, like actual picker bushes. And like, yeah, you definitely want to be wearing that long, no matter what, just so it doesn't get in your way. Gloves too. I mean, I'm not, sunglasses, a gaiter, everything. Cover your body, protects you from the sun. And I told him about, and I was like, plus poison. Like, I was like, one time we were on a job and there was somebody that was wearing 2 sweatshirts and with his shirt over top. And I was like, why are you wearing 2 sweatshirts? He's like, don't want to get poison. Like, got it once, never want to get it again. So he wears 2 sweatshirts to the job every day.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was crazy.
Wow.
So fast forward, the next day comes around. Maybe it was that night, but I start both my forearms all the way up to my elbow.
Oh man!
And then like a line right above my waistline, my whole stomach, and then my inner thighs are getting it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was, I think I get it bad where like once it gets in my bloodstream, it kind of moves around or whatever. But
sure,
I was wearing long sleeves, gloves, long pants, and somehow
you
I got
did
it on
everything.
my stomach.
You did everything you're supposed to do.
That's the tricky part. When you're using chainsaw and cutting up poison, it's flying all around.
Mm-hmm.
It's dangerous. So
an uncontrolled environment.
Yeah, so that's a warning sign for anybody out there. Just if you're cutting up poison, it's gonna be tricky. So be ready. Other than that, I'm doing really well. Playing golf this past week since I've been home. I think I'll go play tonight. Twilight. I walked for the first time yesterday playing around, and it was different. It's kind of nice, but yeah.
Awesome. Very good.
Yeah, anyway. So I'm doing a lot. Like I said, I'm working on my golf game. It was like $20 to walk, so it's a lot cheaper.
Oh, yeah. It's economical.
How are you, Chris?
I'm good, dude. What's today? Today's Saturday the 20th. Yeah. Today, that's the day today. I've been back from Canada for a week. I just completed what is shaping up to be my only 5-day, 40-hour work week that I'm working all of July. So we got that out. Busy week. I'm competing in a weightlifting competition tomorrow for the first time in like 5 years. So I'm excited about that. I'm all tapered up. I'm feeling healthy. And then next week I'm going to visit my brother in North Carolina. So right back on the road, but that's just for like half the week. So things are good. Today I already went to the gym, did some grocery shopping, stuff like that. And then I'm going to take it easy tonight. So having a good day though. Having a really good day.
You've power lifted since then though, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, because you said that and I was like,
I did.
Completely true.
I did 2 powerlifting meets in 2022, but my last weightlifting meet, snatch and clean and jerk, was December of 2019. So that was another life. So we're excited. I've been weightlifting again for like a year and a half now. So I figured now's the time to compete a little bit. So I'm excited for that. I hope it'll go well and I hope I have some fun and just compete a little bit. It's fun.
Absolutely. Can't beat a good competition.
You can't.
Yeah, you really can't. So, yeah, it's important. Not just doing it for fun. We're counting the cost and we're
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
The numbers will be calculated.
That's right. There will be a winner and there will be losers.
Absolutely, as there are in all things.
Good. So it sounds like we're both doing well. That's nice. I know, sometimes, as we talked about, the summer can be hot and confusing, but we're getting through. So we got a good episode today, and we are going to talk about Stone Temple Pilots, specifically a few songs that we want to highlight as something that you should go back and listen to. We did this once before to our surprise. We were really on it back then. One time we picked a song from each one of Nirvana's album. What episode did you say it was?
I think it was episode 97. I know it's from January of 2023, so a long time ago. And we picked
about a year and a half.
Yeah,
which is cool. We're not going to pick specific albums for this. We're going to do 3 songs that may be forgotten, maybe something you haven't listened to in a while, something that we enjoy. Just 3 songs, no real, specific guidelines into why we picked it. But we picked 3 good ones, and it does coincide with an anniversary that's happened that we're recording on right now. This is the Chester Bennington's date that happened. How many years ago was it?
It was July 20th, 2017. So that'll be 7 years ago today that he passed away.
And we talked about that on the last episode, but now it's, closer in time. So
serendipitous that we're recording on the actual day.
Yeah. So there's a few things that obviously played in STP. So it actually works really well that we can kind of, talk about the impact and how the band kind of operated through it all. So we'll see. We'll see where the conversation goes. So it'll be a good one.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good one. Really excited to talk about the 3 songs that we picked. Definitely, I would say underappreciated songs. Songs that if you like all the big ones, you love these. And if you don't, we're gonna talk about them a little bit, and I'm sure you will grow to love them. So it's good to get some STP chat going. It's been a little while, so this is a good series. I can't believe we never did more of like the 3 songs thing. But we're coming back. We come around when we need to, and we needed to this week. So
we go right to 10 full albums, top 100, stuff like that. But
yeah, exactly. Seriously. So with that being said, this is our 174th episode, and we're able to get to that point because of the support that we receive. We don't have any major sponsors. We're not a part of a network. It's funded by us, and it's funded by the people, specifically people that have purchased merch, people that have otherwise donated to the cause, and specifically people that support us on Patreon, the $2, $5, or $10 levels. All of that goes to making this show run. We have not pocketed a penny from it to this day, which is a little bit of a folly on our part, considering we're 3.5 years into this and we haven't made any money off of it. But that's not why we're doing it. And we would like to thank everybody that has chosen to support us. And it's been a long time since somebody has joined the ranks of Patreon. So if you're feeling inspired, it's $2. It's not a lot of money. It's a shitty cup of coffee that you could get. I mean, a lot of places, $2 won't even get you a shitty cup of coffee anymore, so it's better value just giving us those $2. But as we typically do, I would like to thank the members of the top tier who give us $10 per month to make this podcast run. And at this time, the members of the top tier, I will read their names. What the Fuck Is Up Denny's, Sherry Matthews, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Russell, Nikki 6, Millie, King Buzzo Stole My Hair, Keith White, Carlene Salona, Jamie Lynn, Jade Mercado, Granny Grunge, Gochu John, Fuck Soup, Apona, Eddie Vedder Got Me Through My Second Divorce, Down in a Hole, Flat Out Fucked, Doug Endy, D-Boat, Corden Stewart, Kara K, and Black Hole Sean. So thank you all. That definitely took a little bit longer than the 29.63 seconds of last week.
On the clock.
I thought about it like 4 names in. I was like, if Ethan's timing me, I got to pick up time and reverse split this thing. But then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to attack this list with precision in diction. And hopefully I did that. And hopefully I brought honor to those names.
Yeah, I think you did fine. If
Thanks.
not, we'll try again next week, right?
Better luck next week.
So I'm going to shout out top level Patreon Doug Endy.
Oh yeah,
because he's been around for a while. I'm not sure exactly when he started. I think maybe a year into it because he backtracked.
January 17th, 2022, he became a Patreon supporter.
So perfect. I wonder what episode got him. I can't remember.
Over 2 years of service. I think it was the first, it was the Liederman episode, I think.
It very well could have been, yeah.
The first Liederman.
Big Liederman fan. And He's a big music fan. He's a big fan of us as an institution, Grunge Bible. And I got a text from him the other day because I'm home, and he said, "Hey, you around still?" or something like that. And I looked at my brother and I said, "Doug has tickets for something." I was like, "He has
Doug's
concert
got
tickets."
the tickets.
Yeah, I was like, he either bought a few extra or he's planning to buy, but he has tickets. And I was like, "I'll be around for next week. Why? What's up?" And he's like, me and Connor and Andy Engelman, we're going to
fellow podcast alum.
Yeah, we're going to the Foo Fighters in Hershey. If you're around, you're welcome to come. I was like, oh man, I can be around for that. I was like, that sounds great. I actually have, tomorrow night, I'm going to a concert as well in Jersey.
Nice. Who are you seeing?
I'm going to see the Dirty Heads.
Back in the saddle.
I was thinking, I don't know if I've seen them. The last time I saw them was when I visited Pittsburgh when I first got to Kentucky, probably 2016 or 17. I don't think I've seen them since then.
It's a long time.
It's been so long. So, and me, Quinn, and Erica are going. And then 2 days later, I'm going to the Foo Fighters with Doug and Andy. Like, this is like, I just teleported 10 years back to when I used to go to concerts back in Pennsylvania. I'm doing the same thing. And I'm like, I'm pumped up about it. So
that's cool.
So, yeah, shout out to Doug specifically. And then, of course, everybody else that, you get to go to concerts with. It's so much better to go with people that like the bands. I've been to shows by myself, and they are fun, cathartic, whatever, however you want to talk it up. But man, it's better to go with some other people.
Yeah, it's been, when I first really started going to shows a couple of years ago, I was going frequently by myself. And then I'd say the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been going with other people. Like, I don't remember the last show that I've gone to alone, and it's so much better. It's so much better going with somebody who likes the music.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's one of those things like, when you hear that, I saw a meme one time, and it was funny because one of my teammates and one of my strength coaches, they were making sourdough at the time. And it was like, if you have a friend that's making sourdough, like, check in on them because that's a sign. Like a joke. And I was like, if you're going to a lot of shows by yourself, I should have checked on you more.
Yeah, you should have checked on me when I drove up to see Julian Baker alone on a Tuesday.
Yeah, I guess that's if you're getting excited about seeing a show by yourself or whatever. Yeah, that means for me, it was like, I need to do something, whether that means go by myself. Yeah.
Yeah, check up on your friends, and also
if they're going to a bunch of shows by themselves and the artists are sad, just check up.
Yeah, and if they're doing something like that alone, you don't even have to ask, they really need it. Like, it's just something that they need to do.
Yeah,
we've all been there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh man,
that's awesome. Pretty great. Yeah, man.
So I think that puts a button on that.
Yeah, the gratitude section.
Yep. Exactly. Thank you section. Let's move on to this day in music. We have a few things, and I know that you want to do this first one for sure.
I do. So this is not a very eventful day in music.
Was this on
July 22nd? No, this was not on the music tab.
You went to another.
There were a couple things that were going on in music, but really not a whole. There was a Beatles thing, whatever. I didn't feel like talking about that. So we're gonna start in 1923, and our friends over at WFMZ, the Sac Fly, would appreciate this one. On July 22nd, 1923, American baseball pitcher Walter the Big Train Johnson became the first pitcher in Major League Baseball history to strike out 3,000 batters over the course of his career. His record of 3,508 strikeouts stood until 1983. So he had that record for 60 years on the dot. Walter Johnson, unbelievable pitcher. For many years, he was considered to be he had the fastest fastball in Major League history. And back then, obviously, there were no radar guns, so nobody really knows how fast he threw. He did some sort of event at it was a military testing ground or something where they had burgeoning technology to figure out how fast things go. And the calculation at the time was that he threw 88 miles an hour, which by modern standards is not fast. Although people have tried to take that data and point out a inefficiency in the way they measured it. And they're like, no, he really probably threw 95, but
probably threw 105.
Who knows? I mean, it's Walter Johnson, Bob Feller, Satchel Paige, before the radar gun era. And then guys really started to shove it in the 70s and 80s. Nolan Ryan obviously had a really, really good fastball, but Walter Johnson, the Big Train, that's a hell of a nickname.
That's awesome. So the only question is this who Mike Watt wrote the song Big Train on after?
It fucking better be.
If it is, I think we gained a lot more respect for Mike Watt.
Yeah, we totally did.
I think our view changes on him. I mean, I'm a big fan of him, but I know that we just don't know what he does.
I just don't know what he does.
I just don't know I just don't understand him.
And a lot of this probably comes from the fact that we were born in the mid 90s, because like we came of age for 90s music in like the 2010s, and that was an era where like anytime somebody mentioned Mike Watt, they're like, oh, it's Mike Watt, like there
Mike
he is.
Watt's
That's a big deal. But like
what?
I don't know. I don't know why. I don't understand it. But that's just, we're just copying to our own ignorance right now. But that's okay.
Maybe he's like Steve Buscemi of music. He just shows up in pretty good films with other better actors.
I love Steve Buscemi.
Oh yeah, but he's never. I mean, he's a supporting actor. I don't think. Does he have any like killer lead roles?
I mean, he probably does so frequently in like ensemble casts. Like I think of like Fargo, Big Lebowski, obviously Reservoir Dogs. He was in The Sopranos for like a season and a half, which was really strange for me because I was like, why is Donnie like joining the Tony Soprano crew? Yeah. But long live Steve Buscemi. That's a man right there.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful man.
Huge Buscemi guy. He's like. We have another actor in this list that I'm excited to talk about a little bit, actually. Yeah. But yeah, he's just an actor. There's some guys that are just like, man, they're just good actors. They're a little they're a little unique. They look unique. There's not a lot of people that look like Steve Buscemi.
No, you know what I mean? It's really not.
Like there's some people that you see an actor, like, yeah, that guy's an actor. You see a lot of him. But there's not a lot of people that look like Buscemi. So
no, he's one of one.
All right, moving to 1947. Don Henley of the Eagles is born. Happy birthday, Don Henley, turning, was it 77?
77.
Right?
Yeah, that's the math. You're right on there.
Math is math. Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. Drummer and great singer. That's,
incredible singer.
It's not tons of company for people that are fantastic drummers and can also, sing. I always think of obviously Grohl and Levon Helm. Levon Helm.
Yeah, Grohl. I'm sure he doesn't get a ton of talk as he should for a singing drummer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been leading from the front for so long.
Exactly.
I've been I've been listening to a lot of Eagles and Doobie Brothers.
Summertime.
Yeah, dude, the Doobie Brothers. Somehow my phone was acting up in my pocket and there was that big shortage. I think it was messing with my phone. The big Microsoft thing.
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, that's Apple, so maybe not. But Spotify, I don't know if they're ran.
Just blame it on it. It's fine.
I would say my phone's was acting up, but I was weed whacking and it was kind of clicking around. All of a sudden, I landed on like just Doobie Brothers playlist. So I just was listening to Doobie Brothers.
You can't question that.
And I was like, all right, no problem.
That's fantastic. Right. Happy birthday to Don Henley. The next birthday on this day in 1955, actor Willem Dafoe is born. And Ethan, it sounds like as of a couple of minutes ago, you're really excited to talk about Willem Dafoe. So let's hear it.
I mean, he's a really awesome actor. And like I said, he's just unique in the way that he does roles. And his movies kind of, fit kind of what I like. He does he had this movie, The Lighthouse. I don't know. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. Is that with Robert Pattinson, right?
Robert Pattinson. Yeah. Robert Pattinson. It was black and white, really creepy. And then he had a movie that came out last year called Inside, where it was wild. He was stuck inside like a penthouse and he was like stuck in, and it was like, kind of about abstract art. And it was just like really creepy and like inside the mind of, an artist and him. And it was, he kind of went through all the psychosis and it, it's just a tough role, and he's got a bunch of other really good movies, and he's in Spider-Man, I think American Psycho.
I just watched Born on the 4th of July. He's in that one as well. One of Tom Cruise's earlier roles, and also
I did want to see Poor Things. I want to. It's like 3.5 hours.
I've not seen that one either. But Willem Dafoe is also in the 2002 film Autofocus, which is about Bob Crane. So that's very, very intriguing, very important to mention. We actually had Bob Crane's son Scott on an episode earlier this year. So a tie into the Grunge Bible podcast, a little 3 degrees of separation there.
Mm-hmm. Incredible.
Yeah.
I'll take the next one.
This is a good one.
Well, it's gonna be funny when I make my remark. Then, in 1996, Donovan has to cancel a North American tour when he is denied entry into the U.S. because have a 1966 conviction for marijuana possession.
30 years.
And 30 years what? Oh, 30, yeah.
The conviction was 30 years old.
All I have to say is, who the hell is Donovan, Chris?
Excuse me? The hurdy-gurdy man.
Oh.
That's Donovan.
Wow, okay. I almost wanted to clarify before, but I was thinking it'd be funnier if I'd be like, who the hell is Donovan?
Yeah, man. The folk legend of the 60s.
Wow. So 30 years and he still is denied.
Unbelievable. It happens, though, I guess.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I was like, who the hell is Donovan? I was like confused about.
Like Billy Donovan, the basketball coach, like got a marijuana
Donovan
possession
McNabb?
conviction when he was 4. Yeah, Donovan McNabb.
Anything? I mean, any other thoughts on that?
No, I mean, anybody who wrote the hurdy-gurdy man is a friend of mine. So I know the Donovan has since been back in the States, so it's good to hear that was resolved.
It is crazy how everything's changed on marijuana, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's crazy. Like because I'm weird. In the past, like I watched this old back in the particularly the 50s and even the 40s, I suppose a little bit. The U.S. government would put out these short 15-minute public service announcement films, talking about different things to either raise propaganda basically. And there was one that basically said that if you do pot, it's the fast track to becoming a communist, and they equated pot with heroin. And the narrator of this 1950s PSA was a lot of young people try marijuana and then that's not good enough for them, so then they start doing heroin. It's I don't think that's how that works, but
the gateway drug,
yeah. And they're some people think that the Reds are behind it. Obviously peak Cold War paranoia, McCarthyism going on there, but yeah, and nevertheless, I'm glad that there's been a large shift in the way people approach marijuana and other cannabis products, because it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that you just gotta make not a big deal about it,
Right. There's a lot of other things that are bigger deals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of bigger deals,
shit
though,
on the local news.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the local news is going to be 30 minutes every night. They gotta find something to talk about. But as I said, speaking of bigger news, Ethan, we've got some big news coming up. Couple of days from now, we're releasing this on the 22nd. On July 25th, the Riff Lord is back. Jerry Cantrell has recently announced that he has a new single coming out. It's called Vilified. I have to imagine this is the start of another album cycle for the great JC. I'm really fucking pumped up for this. I can't wait. I can't wait. I feel like I'm still not even over the Brighton era, and now we're getting back into
of the Brighton tour.
I know, hot off the heels. It's been a while since we've had a Brighton tour announcement, but it seems like I don't know if the album's going to be called Vilified or not, but the lead single is. So
I can't wait until he does a 10-year Brighton tour anniversary.
I can't wait for the 25th anniversary.
Oh my gosh. And we get to talk about it on our podcast 30 years from now.
Yeah. Oh my God. Please no. So he shared a couple of teasers about it on his social media. And the first thing before he announced it was just this black screen. And then in letters coming across, it said, "As if you don't know, ... And he did the same thing with the Brighton stuff. He started just releasing verses or just lines at a time from the lead single, which was Brighton, I believe. And I remember at the beginning it was "You only reap what you sow," which is just badass. And this one too, "As if you don't know." I'm excited for that. I don't know what it means, but I can't wait to hear how it sounds.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some more Jerry music. No problem. Mm-hmm. That's fine with me. I mean, he did it. I think that he pleasantly surprised us with the last album.
Yeah,
I don't know what I expected, but I think it was very. I was like, oh yeah, this is good, and it was good for a while. And not saying other albums that came out hasn't pleasantly surprised me, but that was a good one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jerry's getting to that age where it goes one of two ways, right? You can either, you stick with what you're doing and you can inhabit that space and still have it sound good and your voice can age well, so you can keep creating that way, or you kind of veer into some different projects and branch out a little bit. But I mean, Jerry, hit after hit, I mean, that Brighton That Brighton album, I think it was 2022 when it came out. And it sounded like it could have come in like 2005, right after his second solo album. So the hits keep on coming from him, and I can't wait to have a chat about it. There's more content for us coming up soon.
Whoop, whoop. Perfect.
Yep.
All right. And also, more new music coming out. On August 2nd, Smashing Pumpkins has Agori Mori May, is how I'm going to pronounce it. Agori Mori May comes out on August 2nd. It was in like an Elvish script and probably different language, but it's new Smashing Pumpkins album. Chris, gut reaction. What do you think? You
I'm not going to listen to it.
Well, we'll do it's like PTI. You had to pick one word. What's your one word?
Underwhelming.
Bing! Underwhelming. Yeah. My word is going to be indifferent. Now, I mean, so the last album that they had come out, like YYZ or whatever, something it was, actually a really cool album. It had like a lot of orchestral stuff and, you know, a soundtrack type music, and it was pretty cool. So, I mean, if anything, you got to give it to Billy for being pretty creative and like a composer. Yeah. I mean, he could have lived in the, the Mozart era and been just loved it just the same.
One thing that you can't fault Billy Corgan for, and you have to respect him for, is his ambition, his continued. The band released a statement when they announced that this album would be coming out, and it reads, "We played this game of rock and roll for 36 years and had to give the knee many times to what is the first song and what is the first statement, and let other people judge us by one moment in time. We felt the right way to hear this record was an intact body of work. 10 songs, about 45 minutes, and then let the fans decide whether or not it's what we've done is what we set out to accomplish, whether we put ourselves back in that original position, whether we were able to go home again with this record. So on August 2nd, it'll be there for everyone to listen to. We're just going to put it out digitally. Of course, we're going to put it for sale, and that comes later, but we want to just put the record out." I love that. Calling your own shot, you're not bending the knee, not doing the whole album cycle thing, just here it is. It's all going to be there. There's no pre-release. There's no exclusivity to it. It's just there.
I do love that.
And I really, really like that. And, certainly they've earned that right to be able to, do it their own way, which is exciting.
That's awesome. I mean, I think that's really, I don't know, man. It's like, I like it. I like
pretty sick. Yeah.
I don't like having to wait. We get when that day comes, we get the album. We don't need to hear one song at a time. And speculate. I was just listening to a podcast with Chris Robinson on the Black Crowes.
Yeah, he was just on Joe Rogan or something.
Yeah, he was with Joe.
Was it good?
And it is good. I didn't finish it all, but I got like a quarter or halfway through, and he said two things. One, he was saying, well, he DJs like records, like, which is so funny to me. Like, he's a DJ. Like, him and his wife go and DJ like bars. So they just put on records. Like, that's
you just show up and you just come back to flip over to side B.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that was the first side, and he was just saying how he said he has over 40,000 records. He had to put 4,000, like he had to put 4,000 away or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he was talking, but he was saying how important the album was, and how, people really don't want, like, back in the day, people were much more likely and it cared more to put out a body of work, 10 songs that was very complete, all this, and like, it wouldn't come out one at a time, but it was just like, versus now, you get one song at a time here and there. And but he also talked about how when he was first on Letterman, I believe, they asked him to play a song, and I guess he went to his brother and like, hey, we should play, it was like Full Throttle or whatever I can't remember the song's name was. And it was one of the late night shows. I don't think it was Letterman, but one of the guys was like, you can't play that. It's a big mistake. And he was like a 19-year-old or whatever.
Mm-hmm. He was like She Talks to Angels or Hard to Handle or something.
It wasn't a popular song, but he was just because the guy was like, this is a big deal. Like, you should play something bigger. And he's like, screw you. This is my band. This is what we want to do. He's like, and if we screw up, it's our mistake. It's not yours.
Right.
Like, you're going to have somebody else on the next week and you guys will be fine. And if we screw up, we'll eat it. He's like, this is my band. I'm doing it the way we want.
That's
what I mean? That's kind of how Billy is like. It's like, yeah, we're putting it all out. Like, yeah, we probably could garner more buzz and do better one at a time. But like, this is, if we make a mistake, then it's our mistake, but we're putting it all out at once. And I respect that a lot too.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's like there's a larger thing at play with that, where it's like, you forget, no matter whatever it is that you're doing, I think it's easy to forget that like it's supposed to be fun for you, the person that's doing it, whether it's a hobby or whatever you're striving towards. And it's the same thing. It's like playing is supposed to be fun. So like play what's fun for you to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I understand what the guy was trying to say, this could be your big break, but they were on the cover of Rolling Stone like 2 years into being a band or something.
Yeah.
They started when they were they got like big, like when they were like 19 to 21. I think they were like
really
early.
Really meteoric rise. And I
didn't realize they were so old too.
Yeah. Well, they started, I think their band originally 80s. Was called like, it was like Mrs. Robinson's Garden or something. And then they changed their name to the Black Crowes. And that first album, Shake Your Moneymaker, I think it came out in 90 or 91. So like whenever I think of them, because I really like the Black Crowes.
Well, he was saying they were banned since 85.
Yes. Yeah. They didn't do a major label release, but I mean, Rich is older than Chris. I mean, Chris was like 16 when he started playing with Rich, and they got their buddies together and started playing. I think they're from Georgia. I mean, what a wild thing, at the time. It's Guns N' Roses and that type of stuff directly into Nirvana and grunge, and at the same time these guys were massively successful. And it's just a cool space, I think, of the early 90s that a lot of people, certainly in our neck of the woods, overlooked that it was existing and it was thriving.
Yeah. Well, like you said, you had all the grunge music during the time, and they're just not like really viewed as like a 90s. I mean, they're a 90s band, but like they almost seem older, in a way.
Yeah. It's the perfect band for people that loved stuff from the 70s, I think. It's like, I think when most people think of grunge, they're not like grunge is rock and roll. Grunge is grunge. But I think the Black Crowes, for example, it's just, they're a rock and roll band. And it was kind of scratching that itch that maybe grunge didn't do for people at the time. So super, super cool. I gotta check that interview out at Chris Robinson's The GOAT.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I'll finish it up later.
Yeah, man.
So that wraps up the news that we have to bring you. A lot of good news, I guess.
Yeah, man. Good news.
So moving to the heart of the episode, we have 3 songs in no particular order. We're going to go through them. These are just 3 songs that you should go back and re-listen to, have some, mystery behind. I don't know. They're very enchanting. That's what I wrote down.
I'd say they're very enchanting. Absolutely.
They're 3 enchanting songs, kind of like ominous. Knowing that, like we talked about, Scott passed away in 2015. And some of the lyrics kind of like allude to, his relationship with his wife, or then like him passing away and how he should be viewed when he is gone. And they're serious songs, So which one do you want to start? Do you want to go in the order that we have?
I think we go in the order that we have.
I kind of like it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's chronological order, but also I'm very excited to talk about the first song that we have.
Okay, it is, yeah.
Which you sent this to me, and this kind of spawned the reason for this episode. About a week ago, you sent me this, the link to this song, and it still remains from their second album, the Purple Album in 1994. And before we get into it, I feel pretty comfortable in saying that this is Stone Temple Pilots' most overlooked and underappreciated song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you put those 2 words together, like obviously people know the song still remains, but it is overlooked because of how good it is, and underappreciated. So I think that's a perfect way to explain it. It's so good.
Yeah. So what sticks out for you about this song? So as was often the case, the DeLeo brothers teamed up to write the music for it, and Scott wrote the lyrics. And then you've got Eric Kretz obviously in there providing some great drumming. But what's what draws you to this song Still Remains, and what makes it great, and what makes it such a hallmark, I think, for this band?
I really like the melody of how he sings, and like through the chorus, and it just has all the elements to the band without being too over the top, right? He doesn't get to a point where he's like really say screaming or it's just not too abrasive, but then it's not too soft. And so he's right in the middle where it's like, and the guitar work, just how kind of like, it's like kind of rolling, you know what I mean? You're just kind of like rolling through the song, and there's just a really good flow. And like I said, it has its peaks and valleys, but it's very consistent. And I really appreciate the band when they're in that sweet spot. And I feel like this is the sweet spot there. I mean, I like their soft stuff and their really hard stuff. Yeah. But this thing is just like, it's just like steady waves, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. It's kind classic. Of it really is. And you made a good point where like it's kind of right in the middle between their ballady stuff and their hard driving stuff. And I think a lot of times, if a band is known for one thing and then they do the opposite, and then if they do something where they try to ride the middle, it dilutes both elements of it, right? It's like, because you can only have half of this and half of the other to ride the middle, but it's really like all parts of the heavy and all parts of the ballady together. And like, you don't lose anything that made them great on Core, for example, in the same way that you don't lose anything that made them great when they did Unplugged or when they did Big Empty, or maybe some of the other songs that we're going to talk about here that are more ballady. And for me, the MVP of this track is Dean's guitar, particularly the tone. I also love Eric Kretz's drumming on this. Just like, it's so cymbally, it's so crashy, and it creates a really, really big environment for it. And Scott, man, I mean, he was an endless treasure trove of melody, and it's certainly present on this track.
Yeah, and this song, came out in '94 with the Purple album, so he had a really healthy Scott for these live performances when they were doing it. One that I pulled up, and it was in Springfield, Illinois, and was that August 16th?
Yep.
And it's he got that. He just looks healthy, he's filled out, and he's got the spiky hair, like, or the kind of like the flow spike hair or whatever it is, I think. And
the hair that you would expect to see in 1994.
Yeah, exactly. Sideburns probably. Yeah. And it's just like a really healthy sounding, melody and chorus to the song. Like, I love it.
Yeah, and I love that live performance. So it was from August of 1994, and he intros it by saying, "This next one's a love song," and then they drive it in, and it hit me once again today. And we're very lucky in this genre that the ability that these bands and the singers had to pretty much one-to-one mirror what you heard on the album when you heard it live. So that performance, it's a really, really good audio version of it. Like, it's super, super clear, and it sounds like it could be the studio track. And it just kind of got little deviations in maybe how Scott phrased some of the verses and different decisions that he made. But it sounds so full. And the subject matter, as he said, introing that as a love song, he kind of wrote it about his first wife, and just how you can be like so in love with somebody that you want to be with them, for the end of time, even after death. And I think it's got one of his most beautifully constructed choruses, I would say. I just love, I'll just read it here. Pick a song and sing a yellow nectarine. Take a bath, I'll drink the water that you leave. If you should die before me, ask if you can bring a friend. Pick a flower, hold your breath, and drift away. I mean, that type of devotion and just longing for somebody, that's a really special thing. And it comes off with such sincerity. And it's interesting, something so tender can be backdropped by such a big sound, particularly, as I said, with the guitar and then the drumming. And it's just a really, really great example of what makes this band great.
Yeah, and it sounds beautiful, right? And I do love that. If you should die before me, ask if you can bring a friend. That is one of his best lyrics, like you said. So it fits perfect. This is special, and like, I heard it, and sometimes you just like hear it, and it's Drew says this all the time, like in the negative sense, like sometimes you just hear things you don't know why, but it doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
This one, like, I don't know exactly why. Like, it's nothing like, there's no crazy, drum solo or guitar. There's nothing. It's just super steady, and for some reason, it maybe it's because it's Scott singing, the band, and everything, the history had, but for some reason, like, Still Remains, knowing the history, it's just great. It just sounds good.
Yeah. And
that's why, like, it may be overlooked. So if you're out there and, like, you just want a good rock and roll song, like, we got it right here.
Yeah. This is one of those where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Like you said, like, nobody's, it's certainly not Scott's most ambitious vocal performance. And like you said, like, there's no ridiculous guitar solo or crazy drum fill. Like, perhaps the most iconic.
They're all in the pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole time.
Yeah, for sure. And like, perhaps I would say, like, the most, like, prominent guitar part would be after the second verse. Like, it's just kind of blank space and Dean's just playing the riff open a little bit, and it's super echoey. The tone kind of shines through, but I mean, that's really it. And it works so well. And this is a song that, like, you know, it's wild, you know, how popular this song could be if it was a single or something back in 94 or 95. But, you know, it's such a great gem. And I remember when I was first getting into this band, like, hearing this, and I was like, how is this, like, you feel like you strike gold. You're like, how is this not one that everybody talks about?
Yeah. How am I just hearing this?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is one of my favorite songs from them, for sure.
Yeah, man, they're all in the pocket. It's like you have a few beers and you get in that sweet spot, and then you just never go over you're waiting to go over the edge, but you never do. That's what it is. You're right there the whole time.
Absolutely. That's the place to be. So that's the first song. We're going to kind of head a little bit more towards the ballady, softer side of STP. We're going to jump forward one record in their discography to 1996's Tiny Music, and we're going to go with Adhesive as the next song that we recommend, that we want to chat about here. So once again, the lyrics are by Scott Weiland, and the music is by Robert DeLeo.
Yeah, this guitar, the intro, I went to the same chord as Still Remains, because a few times when I went to click it and to, like, listen to it, and I thought they were going into Still Remains. So maybe there's, you know, the same tones, and they have very obviously noticeable or recognizable sound to them. Obviously, that's why they're one of the better bands. But yeah, this song is very what's the word I'm looking for? It's like delicate, you know, the way that Scott sings at both the next song that we have too. But this is like a very delicate vocal performance by Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of think of this one in a little bit of a way, kind of as a cousin of a song like Big Empty, where, like, the verses are really, really subdued, both vocally and with the instruments. And then this doesn't open up to the extent that Big Empty does during the chorus and during the bigger parts, but there's definitely that kind of contradiction there, or dichotomy, I suppose, between, you know, the soft and the loud. And when you listen to this one lyrically, it's like, how much can change in a couple of years? You know, by this time, 96, Scott was, you know, very openly and in some cases publicly struggling with drug addiction. And this song really, really zeroes in on a lot of, you know, a lot of what he thinks about it, how he feels it's affecting him, and really what he thought of, you know, what his future was going to look like. There's so many allusions to heroin here. It starts right off at the beginning. My friend Blue, he runs the show with hot pink purple China glow. And, you know, it continues with a lot of metaphors and a lot of, you know, kind of, as I said, allusions to his addiction. But, you know, there's one part here, in this song, which I believe is from the second verse, which is just really kind of breaks your heart a little bit. And it says, the superhero's dying, all the children crying, sell more records if I'm dead, purple flowers once again, hope it's sooner, hope it's near corporate records fiscal year, down the river, have a listen, lend an ear, here's a song now if you care, we can all just hum along, words don't matter anymore. I mean, that's just ominous. It's dark, and it's somebody who's very, like, it's clearly and Kurt openly, like, very clearly, like, looking at, like, what it would look like if he's gone. And obviously, there's that phenomenon that exists with music, as you said, with Kurt, you know, passing only a few years before the song was written. You know, sell more records if I'm dead, and that happens time and time again. And I think a lot of people probably, you know, people weren't very kind to STP, you know, the pundits at the time, and I'm sure people, you know, still to this day aren't very kind to people that struggle with addiction. And I'm sure there was a lot of chatter about that. And, it's kind of him, acknowledging that and taking on those thoughts and sentiments about, people that struggle with addiction, and, the impacts that it can have.
Yeah. And it's interesting that this song, I think we looked it up and there was no live performances. They never played it with Scott. It was just recorded. And the only live recording that we had was that I saw. I mean, there's probably a few times they played it, but when Chester was playing with the band in 2015, it was 8 months before Scott passed away. April 27th, 2015. It was a show at the Irving Plaza in New York.
Yeah.
And Chester had the shades and pink purple hair, just like Lane for the Unplugged. And he sang this song, and his voice is, some people said it was really bad, and it, it's not the same as Scott singing. I mean, it's a different voice. Chester had a different voice, but it was really chilling to see him play this song, something that Scott had never done right before he passes.
Right.
And playing in the band that Scott, built, and then paying homage to Lane. There's a lot of, looking back. I mean, it's just very all connected in a weird way. And it's, like I said, this very delicate song. And I think he did a great job. His voice is even more like kind of frail than the studio version when you listen to it on tracks. And yeah, man, it is. And like all these lyrics are just, the superheroes dying, all the children crying, knowing that, they were friends. And it's powerful and sad set of circumstances.
It really is. And it's interesting. So obviously, while Scott was in the band, they toured quite a bit, even after 1996 when this song came out on Tiny Music. And they only played it, between Scott's time in the band, Chester's time in the band, and then with Jeff in the band, to present day. They only played it 14 times. All came in 2015 during their last touring efforts with Chester Bennington. So, it's kind of a small moment in time. And I would have loved to hear, what this would have sounded like live with Scott. There is a version that you can find on the internet of just Scott's isolated vocals with this, and this kind of, it's as chilling for me as the vocals only that you can hear with Atlanta from Number 4. And it's just, once again, like a lot of stuff, like we talk like with Lane, it's like people can be going through shit like this and still make something like that's this beautiful and that's this good. How something that can rob you of everything, for a long time can't rob you of your voice and your talents, which is a really, really wild thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lyrics. I'm kind of going back to it, but it says, have a listen, lend an ear. Here's a song now if you care. We can all just hum along. There's something like when stuff's really, serious and you can't speak, you don't want to be silent. You just want to hum, kind of go along with it. And I don't know, it just feels like, you can just see, maybe they can't get out words and they can't sing. I'm just picturing the guys like, humming and kind of giving background sounds like when they're in like, I don't know, something, a little bit of a, I just see them like good, we can all just hum along. It seems like a really, important line to me right now.
There's also like the element with that too. It's like, people aren't caring what you're saying. They just want to listen to a sound. They're not maybe so much interested in the words. And this is such a wordy song with a lot of things to say. So it's interesting that line was chosen there to be included. And obviously, Adhesive Love, I think is also a veiled reference, adhesive kind of like heroin, obviously, with its sticky, tarry type matter. I think that's certainly another reference there. But, once again, we talk about it all the time, how something that's talking about something that's so heavy can sound so appealing and just be so good.
So, check the song out. If you haven't listened to it in a while, like I said, there's some there's a few different versions. You get the recorded version. You got the Chester version. There is a version with Jeff out there, which is pretty solid. I was actually reminded how much.
Oh, is there? They played this with Jeff?
I'm pretty sure, unless it was the next song. I could have swore.
I think it was the next song. I checked. I don't think they played Adhesive. I don't think they played it with Jeff yet, but we'll have to take another look.
I'm taking a quick look, see if anything pops
The
up. But you're
man
probably
is
right.
taking a look. I came ready with the stats.
So, yeah. It's the next one I saw. But either way, you can do the vocals only. But yeah, go listen to Adhesive again. Check it out. Like I said, a couple good performances. So you won't be disappointed.
Absolutely. And with that, we will move to our third and final STP song of the day. Ethan, I think this is the first time we've mentioned anything from Stone Temple Pilots' album from 2000, Shangri-La-Di-Da.
I know. I can't believe we haven't done a full album review on this.
I know, seriously. And we're going to choose Wonderful from that album in 2000. So once again, lyrics by Scott, music by Robert DeLeo. This one, again, was written about Scott's wife at the time. And this is just another really unbelievable love song. Scott Weiland had said in subsequent interviews after this came out that this was his favorite ballad that he and the band had ever made together. So high praise from somebody who was obviously at the center of everything that they did in their classic era.
Yeah, this one, when you sent it to me, again, this is why we're doing it. This was your choice, and it was a song that I hadn't listened to, and really honestly didn't even I had to listen to it again because I had forgotten about it.
Yeah.
I know I had listened to it before. I've done the album full through like once or twice, but I was like, I need to go back. And what a great choice for a song. And this is exactly why we do this. This is one that you definitely, probably not on your radar when you go back to the Stone Temple Pilots but man, because 2000 album from the 2000, but man, again, really delicate vocals kind of all the way through. And yeah, this is one of those love songs, kind of ballad.
Yeah.
Really nice.
And Scott throughout his life went through so many ups and downs, from the time that STP became, I guess, entered into the public consciousness. And, he had so many, he was in STP, out of STP, in and out of rehab and whatnot. And this song is kind of like a moment of clarity amidst all of that. I love the second verse here. And it reads, I want to ask you to forgive me. I haven't been the best with all that I had. Wish I'd only laid beside you. I think I spread myself a little too thin. So remarkable awareness here, from Scott. And it's just like a song that's born out of gratitude. You're the everything that led me to believe in hold on. You're the wonder in everything that's wonderful. Know you'll be safe, but not alone. So kind of hearkening back to some of the themes that you find on Still Remains, where it's like, if you could die before me, ask if you could bring a friend. The same thing, you'll be safe, but you won't be alone. Like, I'll be right there with you. And once again, the man could write a ballad.
Really could. And this one, it's got good guitar work all the way through. And, yeah, I think they read that, they started with just the vocals and acoustic, and they actually recorded in like a bathroom and a dressing room at first because they liked all the reverb that they sounded. And they kind of wrestled and struggled with the idea of adding like much of a band behind it or keeping it really unplugged. Mm-hmm. I think they really wanted to keep that like a Nick Drake song, is what Scott said. And I'm glad that they did the full band, and kind of filled it out, because you always can break it down. Right. I don't know when you have two versions of it, but it's kind of cool to hear the way that he thought about recording it and wanting to keep it like pretty stripped down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with this song, Ethan, you shared something with me this morning relating to this song that I'd not heard before. And once again, kind of perfect timing here as we sit here on the 7th anniversary of Chester Bennington's death. In 2001, the Family Values Tour was going on, and evidently STP, they were playing Family Values Tour, and beforehand they did a slot for like a radio station or something. I'm not entirely sure of the circumstances, but this was back in 2001, and there's a stripped down acoustic version of this song with Scott Weiland taking lead vocals and Chester Bennington providing harmonies and backup vocals that I listened to for the first time in my life shortly before we recorded this. And it really kind of killed me. Just two beautiful voices. Obviously, this was several years before, Scott had left the band once and for all, and Chester, took up his place at the front, and just kind of two voices that I didn't know that there was anything out there that placed them together on a track. Yeah. And the fact that we have it, they just fit so well together. And, it's sad to listen to for sure, with both of them, having passed now. I mean, Chester's been 7 years and it'll be 9 for Scott this winter. Long time going.
Wow. Yeah. When I found that, saw that they played, I was like, this is, so cool and really special that they both were together. I mean, because also, if Scott is not in the band at the time, I mean, it's not easy to, well, I guess
Chester,
before, but Chester not, but later he took a spot, but I don't know, just the history. And, for the 2001, the Family Values tour, there was a YouTube comment and somebody said, it's like, was at this 2001 Family Values tour show in New Jersey and STP was just on fire. Halfway through the set, the stage turned around in typical Scott Weiland style to reveal couches, candles, rugs, and incense. And they played an acoustic set with one song, including Chester. It wasn't this one. And I thought that was super special. That's like the perfect way to think about STP and Scott is like they have a whole live set and then they flip it around and all of a sudden you're in the living room and you get the best of both worlds almost all the time. And just be able to have a stage that would flip around, you can totally change the scene, and then they do an acoustic session, not just, they didn't just pull out the acoustic guitar, they changed the whole setting to match what they were doing. And I thought that was so unique and beautiful. And this would be a beautiful song to hear, that day or, anytime that they would do, this is a perfect radio session song or Sirius XM live, something
just
like
a great
that.
Easter egg for the real connoisseurs of the band. And that's what I love about STP. And that's kind of the perfect anecdote. And I think back to, they played a song at the 1994 Video Music Awards. And 94, that's Purple era. Most people knew them from Core and just that kind of in your face, loud, brash rock and roll. And they chose to, in a similar style, sit down on a bunch of couches and play Pretty Penny acoustic. And it's just kind of that range that they had, and that they leaned into at times, much to our delight that we have, all of these moments that they were able to do that. And the range that this band had, is greater than most bands, I would say. And it's something that my appreciation has grown, the more and more that I explore the different, kind of styles that the band went through.
Yeah. We've done a few episodes that always about Scott and Core. Remember when we did the Core episode, we had Revelation, of course. So this is your reminder. This is your, telecom board or whatever to tell you to listen to more Stone Temple Pilots, listen to In No Order Still Remains, Adhesive, and Wonderful. 3 great songs, different albums, different eras, different versions. There's a lot connecting these songs, so pretty cool.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Any other remarks you have before we say put a pin in it?
Man, that's it. It's good to chat about this, and I'm glad. We got pretty deep into the week again, really unsure of what we were going to talk about for this week's episode, but it always comes around, and this is certainly time well spent, at least personally too, spending time with songs that I really haven't listened to a lot lately. And it brought back a lot of the feelings of discovering them for the first time, and that feeling is still accessible, which is a testament to how good these songs are. The luster hasn't worn off, the shine hasn't worn off from a lot of these songs. So go ahead, give these 3 songs a listen. And explore different versions. If I could add something to the non-exhaustive list of axioms for last week, in the same way that you want to learn about who's making the songs and where they were at, what was going on with them at the time, find the different versions of these songs, the different forms that they played it, if it's acoustic, if it's electric, if it's vocals only, if it's, just the guitar, it really grows your appreciation for what these guys were able to do. And it's something that I always do. It's something that you do quite frequently, and you know, it's really a great way, I think, to bond over some of our favorite musicians, is discovering these things and sharing them with people that are passionate about it in a similar way to you. So glad we were able to do that today on the podcast, and hopefully we're able to share that with all of you who are listening.
Yeah, that's it. Once we picked our songs, that's the first thing I did. I wanted to find a live performance that you could connect with to listen and
that's the good
find
stuff.
Something. Yeah, that's what you can talk about. So I was looking for, that's when things pop up that you didn't really expect. And you never know, especially with songs that you don't, you
never can tell, man.
Yeah.
That's great.
That will be our, those will be our songs of the week as well. We just gave you 3 great songs to listen to, all in the, from the same
add them to the list.
Same guy. Yeah. So enjoy that. Sweet. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you, Ethan. Thank you, Drew.
Yeah. Thank you, Drew, for producing this podcast. And yes, thank you, Chris. That's it. Anything else?
That's it. I got nothing else. I'm about to get on with my day, go see my family for a little bit, and just keep it rolling here as summertime rolls, in the words of Jane's Addiction.
Oh, yeah. A lot of Jane's Addiction going around these days.
I have seen that in the forecast.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Rock and roll. And we'll see you same time, same place next week.
Rock and roll, everybody. Take care of yourselves.